Good morning. We'll call the July 9th DRC meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Bobby Howell, Community Development is present. Police,
Mike McKinley.
Public Works,
Dale Smith.
Fire Department,
Jeremy Holderfield.
and Building.
John Hanson.
Okay, we have a walk-on special event, and Recreation is here to present that.
All right, so this event is just like Mama's Soul Food and Wings. She wants to do a car and Jeep show on Saturday, August 2nd from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 5th Street. She is expecting about 200 people. They are prepared to hire off-duty for the road closure that is being requested. She has requested 2 officers, but she is aware that it probably need more depending on the review process. She will have food trucks, vendors, Jeeps, and cars for the car show. 5th Street, she's requesting for it to be closed down for all the vendors and the cars. She's also requesting to have some of the show cars parked in the 5th Street parking lot to have it shut down in some way, if that's even a possibility. And then she will be charging for the car show as well. There'll be an admission fee.
Any questions on this one?
Several. First off, I think in past, when we've talked about events in the 5th Street parking lot, we cannot shut that entire parking lot down because the fire department cannot get to the back of the businesses along Main Street. I think that's why when the 5th Street Market started, we only authorized the middle section, if I remember correctly, because the fire department could not, they have to have access.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the roadway. The car show, vendors, tents, whatever, have to be on the side of the road so the fire department can get through if they need to. I don't think that if you're going to shut down the entire road, 2 police officers is going to be enough. And you said they're going to charge admission.
Yes.
That whole area is wide open. How are they going to do that?
I don't have the logistics on it. That's just what I was told. So
I think we need the logistics on because we're not going to be involved in whether or not people paid or didn't pay to get to their event,
Right.
because you can't secure the perimeter of that event unless they plan on putting a chain link fence all the way around.
We've communicated all that, and we're just kind of waiting on what their plan is or how they're gonna.
Right. Well, it's not
plan
the
around
Apopka
it.
Police Department's responsibility to pursue who did and did not pay for an event that's wide open with no points of ingress or egress or ingress, and we're not going to do it. So that needs to be resolved to begin with. The 5th Street parking lot, again, I don't think we can allow the entire thing to be shut down, and we need to ensure that the roadway through the middle remains open so that we can open it up if we need to for the fire department to get in there.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments on this one?
I think it's just simplified for like what Chief said. I agree 100%. And we've come up with a plan of how that parking lot's used for the fire department. As long as they stick to what we came up with, that's the portion that I'm concerned with the fire side of things.
Okay.
And to follow the same path and direction that we've already created to make it work. So.
And I think, if I remember correctly, when the 5th Street Market went to council, there was a question of whether or not they had gotten that vendor had gotten letters from the surrounding businesses that are going to be impacted by that potential closure.
Yes.
So
Those are included in the permit.
So they've got
Mm-hmm.
letters from the businesses on 441.
Yep. She has them all signed and
back this, the feed store, and everything else.
Yep.
Because if I'm reading this right, it looks like they'll leave the road behind the feed store open, which they're going to have to because that's the only ingress and egress they have.
Right. That's the plan. They said they want to do it exactly like 5th Street, so it is. It does get approved, and FD has access to both the entrance of the parking lot. So I'm pretty sure they're flexible with.
Well, I had heard they wanted to shut the entire street down.
I talked to her yesterday, and I told her that's not a possibility due to AFD's policy to be able to get into the lot, and she was okay with that.
That's also leaving a area on 5th Street where if we have to have the police open up to get in, we have access through that. I know that's what they've done in the past, correct? Like
Mhm.
that's the process. Okay.
Yep.
As long as we're understanding that. So.
Okay, so it sounds like then the consensus is. It sounds like police might need a little bit more information.
I think it needs to be several things need to be clarified before I can approve it.
Okay.
Okay. So it seems like then it's the consensus of the DRC that we need a little bit more info before we can proceed on
Okay.
this one.
I mean, if we need to meet with them and go through, we'll do what we can to help them make their event successful, but there's a lot of questions on this one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Any additional questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.
First item on the agenda is Commerce Park Security Construction Site Plan Second Submittal. Amir is the project manager.
Good morning, everyone. So this is a revision, a construction site plan for an already existing industrial warehouse park. They want to install a security fence. They met all the previous comments from the first submittal, but I added another comment for this submittal regarding landscape screening that is required under code for the security fence, and the applicant is here in attendance today for further questions and comments.
Okay.
Good morning, Jason Lewis, Kimley-Horn. The comment, and Casey as well, Kimley-Horn. So the comment was, according to LDC, all fence walls exceeding 4 feet in height in zoning district that is not AR or IH is located within 15 feet of the street shall have supplemental landscaping. We added, after we got the comment, we noticed that we could have added a little bit more detail as far as how far the existing fences are. So we labeled the right of way, showed the existing fence and wall, which is actually about 22 feet away. And that's what's out there today. And our proposed fence that we're connecting to that existing is about 31 feet. So hopefully that resolves that we're not within 15 feet.
Yeah,
So-
that should then resolve. I mean, as long as all the proposed areas are now. So,
Yeah, this is the only
this is the only one. Yeah,
this is the only right of way,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, so we
okay.
should be good then.
Okay. And then the other comments were in reference to from Public Services Engineering, talking about the existing gate may prevent full access to building A. Emergency. There should be 3 types of um, openings. So on the gate, we added a note that says mechanical gate shall allow for 3 types of fire department access via an approved Knox key lock, a keypad, and a click to enter. Thank you. Coordinate with the city of Apopka for specific details and requirements. We have that. Is that going to take care of that?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as that's added on, that's what I was requesting. I think at one point I had asked about a better description or view of the fence that you were adding, trying to make sure that we weren't blocking any fire. I was looking for like a hydrant location, looking for different types of my fire devices to know that we're not being blocked off by the fence. And I couldn't tell it from the photos. I haven't been out to visually see it. That's my concerns.
So the fence opening itself is 30 foot, which will have those 3 access devices. And then on the site plan as well, we've got existing fire hydrants that are shown to be able to show that, in that location, the fence itself is not blocking any hydrants.
Okay, so we do have hydrants inside the fence there. Okay,
Correct.
I'll go out there today and take a look at it.
And then there's on the just site plan, if you're looking at the site plan on the, get my bearings here, northwest corner, there's a hydrant. And then the other hydrant is south of the fence. As the entrance drive coming in. Oh, there we go. Is there a way for me to point on that? Is there any way for me to point on this?
Unfortunately
No. Okay. So one hydrant on the and actually, if you don't mind, just have all the sheets in here. If you can go to C100, there you go. So you can see the entrance coming into the site off of the north-south road. I believe that's north-south. Now we're facing up as south. But as going in south, entering the site, there's an existing hydrant in that landscape median right as you come in. And then, if you don't mind scrolling down a little bit, there's another hydrant that's on the page bottom right, which is the northwest corner of the site. There's another existing hydrant right there.
It's kind of like towards the, what would that be? The southern side of the building. It's outside of the fence. It's over here.
Oh, yeah, yep, thank you. If you can scroll up on this one, it is located. It's kind of hard to see on this image on the screen, but it's right there on the south page top right, which is southwest corner of the building. Yes, sir. And then the other comments were in reference to stormwater and utilities. It just says that the proposed aluminum fence looks like it's getting close to the existing utilities, and to ensure that during construction that it's not that the integrity is maintained and not damaged. So we already have one note on the plans. Oh, sorry, I guess he's should have brought better glasses. Contractor to relocate and or replace existing utilities, irrigation, and landscaping that is impacted during construction. If existing infrastructure is damaged during construction, the construction shall be repaired and or replaced. But we did add some additional notes on the site plan itself where we're getting close to the fence is getting close to some of that infrastructure, which we're kind of copying the note that was provided, or the comment. Contractor shall verify the location of existing stormwater pipe and existing integrity of the pipe is preserved during construction. We added that for the stormwater. We had the exact same note for the water line or the fire line that loops the building. Contractor shall verify location of existing water main and ensure integrity of the pipe and preserved during construction. So those are the only comments that we got. We're good with those. So if we're good with everything, what's our next step as far as getting approvals? How long would it take, or what do we need to resubmit? And then what's that process as far as getting that approved?
So I would just submit a resubmittal to address the comments, the outstanding comments. We'll circulate them. If there's no remaining comments, then there's no need to really come back to DRC. We'll
Okay.
stamp the plans approved.
Perfect. And would you say roughly how long?
I would say maybe a month, just to give us some extra time.
Okay, hopefully. I know they're itching to get out there to make the improvements for a tenant that they have. So anything we can do would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, we'll go around DRC. Additional questions or comments? Community development has nothing further. Police,
I don't have anything. Thank you.
public works.
No comments.
Thank you. Fire
No comments.
and building.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Next item is Go Ministry constructed site plans first submittal, and Dr. Song is the project manager.
Morning, this is Junson Planner. So the applicant is requesting approval of minor development plan for the property located at Rock Springs Road on the east side of 1301 and 1319 Rock Springs Road. This is the first submittal. The property size is about 6 acres and the proposed building area is approximately 11,000 square feet. The current future land use is commercial, zoning is community commercial, and proposed use is a church, which is permitted under the current zoning. However, the site data has not been provided, including number of seats in the church, and based on that, it was unable to calculate the required parking space, and also open space was not indicated, and other relevant information. And landscape was also not submitted. And also property has a no direct access from the public right of way, and an access plan was not provided. If Is applicant available? Okay.
All right, the applicant's in attendance. I believe you got comments from DRC. Would you like to discuss the comments, or does any DRC member have any questions before we talk about the comments? Or
I have a question. If we're missing all this stuff, why are we discussing it?
because the site plan was submitted, that's why.
Okay, well,
And
until it's
comments are generated. We've discussed
until
this
it's complete,
before. Yes.
I don't think we have a need to discuss it.
We are required to take it in, and comments are generated based on the requirements of the Land Development Code. We have policies and laws we have to follow.
My position is, and obviously the board can vote, but if we don't have everything we need to make informed decisions, then it should be tabled until everything's submitted.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Would you like to discuss the comments that you received?
Sure. This is Pedro Martinez with Burkett Engineering. We're the civil engineers. We were told by the architect that we needed to submit our site plan and our CSP for him to be able to submit his architectural site plan as well, or his architectural plans. So we were wondering, I know that we still have some deficiencies on the plans, and we need to provide stormwater report, also landscape plans and stuff like that. We're working on it right now, but we wanted to start this process to be able to provide the architect all the comments that he needed for him to submit the plans, or that's what we have been told. I'm not sure if it could be something that we can clarify right now, because the architect has been asking for these comments to be issued for him to submit his plan. So I don't know if that's a requirement, if that's something that we can.
I don't know if that's a requirement or not. I mean, this is just a construction site plan. I mean, the civil. I don't think the irrigation or the landscaping needs to be submitted right now. That normally comes when you do your, the plans for the building and everything.
Correct.
For your irrigation stuff and landscaping.
Yes, and we technically had a pre-application meeting with the city. We showed the site plan, and then we were, this is the full set of plans for the civil side. However, it's in progress. We just got comments from engineering. I think it was yesterday. So we are working on the stormwater and all these other, issues. But it was part of, I guess that what we're trying to do is to go ahead and submit this to open the
get the ball
possibility,
rolling.
for the architect to submit his plans.
That's fine. I mean, you're gonna have to come back anyway. So once you get all the June stuff taken care of, yeah.
So,
but I don't see where the landscaping has to come in right now.
The landscaping has to be submitted with the construction site plan. So that's part of the details of the site plan approvals, landscaping, irrigation. But if they want to submit the building plans at risk, then that's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. You could submit building plans whenever.
Okay.
I just won't be able to issue anything until all this is taken care of.
Correct. Well, yeah, the architect was telling us that they were stopped, or they didn't have authorization to submit plans until the civic set of plans at least had a first round of comments.
They can do it, like Bobby said, at risk.
Okay.
And we're going to hold on to them until everything else is taken care of before issuance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, I did have some questions on, well, not questions, but probably some feedback on the comments that we received. We provided ITE calculations for traffic. In the meantime, I am not sure if it's required to submit a full traffic study for a church. Would that be something that we could manage with ITE calculations, or do we need?
Well, you've got traffic counts. What you need to do is you need to give us your recommendations on what the impacts are. One, to the road, and two, you're going through two, private developments to get to the church.
Okay.
And is there an impact there? This is what your traffic engineer needs to submit to us. I looked at the calculations. The calculations, tell us what the counts are, but it doesn't tell us what to do with them.
Okay, understood. We are also behind. We don't have direct access to Rock Springs Road. We are behind two developments to the west side of the property. If you see the property line there's Family Dollar and O'Reilly's Auto Parts to the west of us. So technically, our access to Rock Springs Road is through them.
Correct. And there are access easements,
Correct.
by plat and also by a direct easement, with Family Dollar. And the one thing that I noticed is you've got your water and your force main in the same easement. And if you look at the uses for those easements, the force main can be where you have it. The water line needs to be to the southern side, of the O'Reillys. There's a specific easement for water there. So you're going to have to, redesign your water system to take it through there.
Yeah, we also had we found on the survey that on that driveway connected to the O'Reillys, there's an existing gate valve. I am not entirely sure. The survey didn't pick up that information clearly, but there's a valve there. So we were trying to connect the water main to that valve, and to be able to provide water to the proposed building. And that leads me to another question, which is that the necessity of fire sprinklers for the building. We proposed 2 fire hydrants because at this preliminary stage, I've been told by the architect that the building is not being sprinkled. So,
How's that? It's 10,000 square feet. So that's not true.
okay, so that's still in discussions. We can discuss that further. But in the meantime, that's why we proposed 2 fire hydrants to try to mitigate the absence of the sprinklers, if that's possible.
I don't. Being your square footage that you're proposing, I don't see that as a possibility.
Okay.
So, our square footage ordinance states that you're required for sprinklers.
Okay. So with the fire sprinklers, do we still have to propose the 2 fire hydrants, or we can just provide 1 fire hydrant and an FDC 25 feet away from it?
Right now, you guys are providing a 6-inch, looks like a 6-inch hydrant lines what you guys had on there, and I commented on you're gonna need a minimal of an 8-inch line.
Yes.
So, depending on where your other existing hydrant's gonna be, I think one's gonna be fine for inside the property, depending on the size of the structure. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, I have to look into that.
So we might have to confirm, like I said, the connection at the driveway with the O'Reillys and the existing gate valve that we have there. If that line happens to be 6 inches, can we use that one, or do we have to connect to the main water main on Rock Springs Road with an 8-inch?
Connect to the main.
Because by code, because it's a non-residential, actually, if you don't loop the system, you're going to need a 10-inch water line.
Okay.
Is by code. Now, whether or not you can work something out with O'Reilly's and the Family Dollar, because they both have lines coming in there, if they're both, 8 inches and you can loop them, you'll be good.
Okay.
But the other thing is where you want to connect the water line, the access easement does not give you permission to do that. So you're going to have permission, from O'Reilly's to connect to the water line.
Okay.
And also, if you notice on my comments, we haven't received any water or sewer demand or any lift station design, so all that needs to happen.
Yes, and the lift station also it's in the works. We're still working on the design phase of that. We're gonna provide the calculations for the sewer and the water per the number of seats of the church. So yeah, that's also in the works. So we're gonna submit that in the future submittal.
And then on the Family Dollar, their driveway does not go to their property line, which means you're going to be doing construction on their property. It is an access easement, but I don't know that it gives you permission to, construct the connection from your driveway to their existing pavement. So you're going to have at least a letter of authorization to do that.
Okay. Could we only use the access from the O'Reillys and then close that driveway there and just have more parking spaces on that side?
Well, this is what your traffic engineer needs to tell us.
Okay.
And you need to read the agreements that are part of the plat and part of the cross easements that were recorded, separately from the plat.
Okay. That's
far as access goes, so we're looking at one access in and one access out of your property is what we're looking at for this?
Well, that was my question, because right now we have 2 driveways at both O'Reilly's and Family Dollar, but if we don't have the access easement through the Family Dollar, which is the northern driveway, that's where the traffic engineer will have to
Okay,
come.
you do have the access easement, but they did not build their driveway to the edge of their property.
I see.
You can build on your property. I don't think we can give them permission to build on somebody else's property. So that's something you'll have to work out, with the Family Dollar. And it's only 25, 30 feet, but it's still 25 or 30 feet that you're going to be on the Family Dollar property.
I see. Understood. I guess. Well, I did have another quick question. We got a comment saying that we needed to provide a parking plan as well. Um, can we consider, or could we consider our site plan as a parking plan, or does it have to be a separate sheet?
What I'm
Yes.
looking for is how you're controlling, the travel through the parking lot. You need some stop signs, you need some stop bars. Otherwise, you're going to have chaos on a Sunday.
Correct. I understand. Okay.
Yeah,
How
and
many
that's
parking
also a
space?
planning comment as well, and it's a separate page that's required
Okay.
as well.
How many parking spaces are you planning on?
Currently, if you could go to page number 3, sheet 3, it's the notes. We have around, I think it's 128 parking spaces.
I
We
think
did the
that's going to
calculations. Sorry.
one entrance and exit is going to be a challenge for 128 parking spaces. So we're going to need to look at that carefully to make sure. I mean, I would encourage you to go with both your exits.
Yes, so that's why we can coordinate with the Family Dollar to see that extension of their driveway, and we can extend that. And basically, we provided the ratio of the parking spaces is 0.2 per seat, and we have 400 seats, so we are required to provide 80 parking spaces, and we are around 124. So if we have to get rid of some parking spaces for, or for either stormwater or for other accommodations, we're able to do that as well. Rob, do you have any question for them? All right. Is there any other question that you would like to ask us? And we're gonna provide the landscape and irrigation promptly, and keep with the process, and then we'll let the architect know that he can proceed with his submittal, and then concurrently, can it be reviewed concurrently?
Yes, we can review it.
Okay.
Just like I said, it just won't be issued, but myself, Bobby, and Dean will probably be the ones reviewing. So, and Jeremy as well. So, yeah.
Okay. I think that I also skipped a quick comment, or I just remembered. Do we have, or does the fire department has any specific preference on the radius on the north? I think it's the north side of the site. We have a little radius there for a fire truck to turn. I think it's on sheet 7. If you could. If you're able to utilize that driveway, we did a quick vehicle turning analysis, and we showed that the fire truck, at least the Orange County 95 platform, is able to
Orange County
do that turn.
platform's the wrong truck and wrong size. It's going to need to be updated to our 47.65 feet, which is what we have.
Okay.
Also, that's not going to be enough access to the building. You're leaving me with what's the length of the building on each side, on what would be the north and south side of the building? What are those roadways there?
I'll have to double check that and provide that information. I don't remember.
If it's over 150 feet, you're going to have to provide a turnaround.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's something you guys need to look into, and you can work with me offline on it if you'd like. It's fine, but that's something that needs to be checked out.
Okay. And we're also going to provide a vehicle turning analysis towards the dumpster area. That was another comment that I think that we got. It was from engineering, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And lastly, we also have a wetland on the site. That's why we have that dashed line sort of in the middle. During the pre-application meeting, we we proposed leaving 50 feet of setback from that wetland line, even though that line also had a 25-foot setback. So there's around 75 feet from I would like to say the back of the sidewalk where the building is to the wetland. So that was discussed during the pre-application meeting as well.
And that would be consistent with the comprehensive plan.
All right.
All right. Further questions or comments for the applicant? Hearing none, community development has nothing further. Police,
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
public works.
Because of the lack of stuff that wasn't submitted, you'll have a lot of detailed comments on your stormwater, and your, water demand, your lift station design. And one question, you've got one pond that has a discharge and one pond that does not. So there'll be two separate requirements for those ponds because they'll be looked at differently.
Correct. And since the moment that we submitted to the current time, we're actually working on the stormwater right now, and the pond to the north side of the property will have a discharge structure as well, or they will be interconnected. We're still.
And just as a question, you've got all your inlets at exactly the same elevation. Is that just a drafter copying and pasting, or?
It's currently a work in progress.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because I mean, the elevation that I saw, it looked like it probably would not work with the pond. You would end up possibly flooding your parking lot.
Yes, that's it. We acknowledge that it's a little preliminary design, but we're going to provide more detail for the next submittal.
Okay.
Fire.
No other comments this time. Thank you.
Building.
Nothing additional. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right. Next item, low family warehouse construction site plan revision, first submittal. Amir.
So this is a revision to an already approved CSP. It's for revising the building area. They're going to decrease the size of the proposed building from, I think originally it was approved around 66,000 square feet. Now it's going to be 55,500 square feet. And then they're going to add the required number of truck bays. And that's about it from planning and zoning's end. But applicant is available for further comments and questions along with staff.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
So I believe we got the letter with the comments 2 days ago, and we didn't really have any questions because everything was kind of straightforward. I think there was only 3, but I think my only question was we got a few more comments from Dale yesterday. But I think our just our confusion would be this is all stuff that doesn't have to do with the revision. So we didn't know how that worked. Because I know everything that was reviewed was supposed to be just about the building, since that's the only thing that's being revised on the plans.
So the site plan is what had been approved before?
Yeah, so the whole thing's already been approved. It's already in construction. And then there was a change to the building mid-construction, so everything kind of went to a halt because they realized that there weren't any truck bays and they needed truck bays. So that was the main point of the revision, which is why we submitted back to you guys.
Okay, so some of the stuff that was missing was probably submitted previously.
Yeah, because this project's from before I've even been at this company, from 2021. So they've already they've gone through a bunch of different things with I think Richard and Windsor and a few of the other people that used to be here. But
when did they start construction?
We had an approval. I'd have to go back and look when the approval was. It's been a while. Trying to think, it'd probably be, I want to say it was approved last year.
When?
I want to say it was approved last year. I'd have to look. I can't remember off the top of my head when the actual approval of the first
when
CSP
it was approved,
was.
and I guess when they started, because I guess my question and I'm new to Apopka, but all cities have different freshness stamps on their plans as to when they're no longer valid.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what it is with the city of Apopka.
I believe it's 18 months for a construction site plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we approved it within 18 months,
Yeah, no, it's definitely within 18 months.
Maybe I would just suggest coordinating with Mr.
Yeah,
Smith offline
Okay.
and working through that.
we can have a phone call, and if we need to, sit down and just talk about it.
Yeah, we can set up
There were some things that I thought needed to be added to the plans.
Okay.
So.
Okay, yeah, we can set up a meeting with myself and you and the PM of this project because he wasn't able to make it today. So.
Okay.
But yeah, we can do that. But other than that, the rest of the comments were pretty straightforward. I think there's the one from fire, and then 2 from planning. So, no further questions on those.
Okay. All right. Community development has nothing further. Police.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Public works. Any additional questions, comments? Okay. Fire.
The comments from fire on mine. What was the? Hold on, let me get back to it.
think yours was just the upsizing the fire line and the FDC to the 8-inch minimum.
Yeah, and you guys are able to work with what we were talking.
Yeah, we should be able to do that. I had requested from the project manager on the owner side just to get the architectural plans and the plumbing,
that
like
was
the
the fi-
updated ones,
The
just to.
fire line was what I was concerned
Yeah,
with. Okay. All right, because you guys had it listed as a 4-inch fire line, which is not going to work.
yeah, no, that shouldn't
And
be
then
that shouldn't be any issues.
I also brought up the fire sprinklers, being that it's a warehouse of 55,000 square feet. I think was the number. Is that
yeah,
correct?
55.
And the ESFR type heads was something you guys probably wanted to look into. So
Okay. Yeah, I've already sent these over to
okay,
the architect and.
thank you.
Building.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll look out for the resubmittal, and then you can set up your coordination meeting with public.
Yeah, we'll set up something with Dale.
Okay. All
Sweet,
right.
thank you.
Any items for discussion?
I do. As I've been driving around some of the new developments, residential developments, and as I've stated numerous times, I don't know how to read architectural plans, but we're allowing one-way alleyways. And it doesn't create a problem for police and fire necessarily, because we have exemptions in Florida statutes to go against the flow of traffic. But as I was thinking through it, how is garbage pickup working? Because we use the arms, which means they're going to have to go against the flow of traffic, which means we could be exposing the city to liability if they get in an accident.
That's a question really for Public Works.
And I'll have to get with our sanitation division, something I had not thought about. But
I hadn't thought about it either, and I really didn't realize it. And I understand, I think they're doing it because obviously the road is much narrower than a 2-lane road. But if we're forcing our sanitation trucks to go against the flow of traffic, they're not authorized by Florida statutes to do that. If somebody backed into them or they hit something, the city can be liable for that. So I think we need to take a look at whether or not we want to continue this, how other cities are handling it. I don't know. I don't know if they're allowing them, not allowing them. But I was a little concerned when I went down these narrow one. Actually, on a couple of them, I almost went the wrong way until I noticed the arrow in the street showing I was going against the flow of traffic. So I think there's a concern and potential liability on the part of the city for our sanitation department if that we need to look into.
Any other items? We are adjourned.